Okay. Pre-Christmas light audience.
These things happen. I invited some of my I invited some of the TAGInk guys as well. We might have a couple of them pop in, but yeah, all good, all good.
Yeah, I mean, we put it on YouTube later as well, so
very nice.
It's not like it's lost completely. I mean, with your permission, of course.
Oh yeah, go for it. Go for it. 100%.
Awesome. I have to put out a little warning. I'm intermittently losing my voice today. I caught a bit of a cold, but I should be fine. If I suddenly can't speak anymore, the more time for you, Luke. So should be
Love it. I don't have a problem with such things, but hopefully it holds out.
I assume. Okay. Thanks everyone for joining us. I know it's Christmas is coming soon. Everybody's probably already in festive kind of mood. Thanks for still being here and listening to all about AI agents in Web3. Welcome to Linking the Blogs, second iteration of it. Still trying to figure out how to do this all. But I promise we improve bit by bit every time. I'm Jan, one of the founders of ChainsAtlas. And in Linking the Blogs, we talk about all kinds of topics regarding Web3. What are the newest trends, especially with members of our own ecosystem, but also good friends like Luke here, who's joining us today for a talk about AI agents in Web3. And what's the hype all about? For that, Luke, feel free to do your own intro. You're better suited than I am.
Yeah, much pleasure, much appreciated, and a pleasure to be here. I am Luke. A lot of people in the space just know me as Highone. That's my gaming name, so that's kind of what stuck. And yeah, basically been in crypto a while. We started a gaming guild back in 2021 with the PegAxie wave. Since then, I've been doing esports. I've worked for the Bornless, Vemp. I've advised on various different games in the background. So very much a gaming focus in crypto. But that's what brings us to today's topic and AI agents and where those things intersect. So yeah, that's just a little bit about me, who I am, what I've done, and what brings me towards AI agents.
Awesome. Then, maybe bluntly speaking, what the heck is an AI agent?
That's a good question. Yeah, it's a great question. Yeah. And I would almost say it's such a broad answer that it's better to say what isn't an AI agent. Obviously, a lot of people have seen the Virtuals protocol platform. They've raised their market cap up to 3 billion in absolutely no time at all. And they've done that simply by creating a platform to allow the launch of AI agents. In the very simplistic term, an AI agent is a meme coin that can talk to you. That's a very basic boiling down of it, because it really is only limited to your imagination. Right now, there is AI XBT. He's probably the biggest AI agent on X. And there's also Vader AI. And both of those are launched on Virtuals protocol. And they actually have their own DAO that now employs humans. So there are humans working for AI agent DAOs. It's a very odd system that's going on. But
people will all end up working for AI, so it's just a glimpse to the future.
Yes, definitely. So in the short, an AI agent is a software that can have its own token, its own wallet, And it can post on X, it can post on Discord. You can create a VTuber character for it. You can give it its own personality. So essentially, it's an AI that you customize to have its own personality. Now, a lot of the popular ones at the moment are very much a bit of a LARP. And what that means is it's a little bit pretend. The tech is good and people are using it in real ways, but some of the tweets and some of the actions the AI agents are taking are telegraphed or manually done for now to make the AIs look smarter. However, the AIs are being trained on all of those actions so that eventually they'll be able to do those things themselves. So yeah, a software program that runs itself can be your brand manager. And obviously I'm talking very much the commercial business front-facing side. There's obviously also medical applications, business applications, oracles, etc., etc.
So in broader terms, an AI agent is a little bit of a smarter iteration of a bot that most of us familiar.
I would.
Proper way
I would
to
definitely.
phrase it?
Yeah, a living, breathing bot that grows and learns with you as you want it to. So yeah, I think that's actually a great summary for the average person.
Awesome. So in the context of Web3, I mean, you have AI everywhere. Everybody is using ChatGPT, and if it's briefly down, everybody's going crazy. But what is the specific Web3 use case, and why is it relevant in a Web3 context?
It's a great question.
The applications, and also like from the tech side, is there mutual benefit on both sides?
Yes. So, great question. One of the big things for LLMs is openness, transparency, and sort of the big problem with LLMs and Web3 is the centralization, decentralization issue. However, there are companies like Fetch, Ocean, who have merged into ASI, who are putting LLMs on chain for the transparency so that you can see what it's weighting. You can see a public record of how it's learning. And I actually think that for transparency and openness sake is brilliant just in and of itself. But also oracles, Chainlink are using a lot of AI agent oracles in the background. And I actually think that's where the first adoption has largely been, is in places that people can't see. And so that's why it's been very interesting, because this is happening now, but it's not necessarily front facing. We have Oracle services, asset management services. You have all of these running right now for big chains already, but they aren't the consumer facing side of AI agents. So people haven't noticed it as much. So I think the applications are clear on the business side. I think the exciting part is the consumer side now. Obviously, people want a lot of brands have moved into using their mascot as an AI agent, and I think that is going to become more and more popular. Obviously, Nintendo and the big guys are slow, but there is a world in which they craft a perfect Mario to sell Mario, where Sega craft a perfect Sonic to sell Sonic for them. So that's just obviously that's not Web3 specifically, but that applies to all branding, Web2, Web3, kind of across the board. And then specifically gaming. Gaming and AI agents in Web3 is going to be absolutely massive. We're already seeing it with a couple of games. There's one called Parallels and there's another called AI Arena. And in those, the AI agents have their own desires, beliefs, money, and they are in a state of PvP with the player, or you can bring them over to your side and cooperate with them. So there's going to be some fascinating experiments going on in gaming where you can kind of test some of these things in a friendly way that isn't just like designed quickly to lose people money. So gaming is going to be a great place for it to be tested, I think.
I guess it would be a good idea to partner with them. I mean, if you have this smarter and smarter player on your side that never sleeps, never goes to the loo, never does anything, just focuses on the game, that should be quite nice advantages. I wouldn't want to play against that, to be fair.
Yes, so no, that's actually a really good point.
Eventually, right?
Right, but this is where the AI oracles come in, and they will be able to push and pull the motives and desires of the AI agents in game to balance the economy and make it better for players. So we wouldn't want to design that kind of stuff. This will get tested and iterated on over time, but essentially you could have the AI agents be tuned to benefit the game's economy and benefit the players in the long run. It might feel like they won this battle in the short term, but it might have had to happen for the health of the economy overall. So I totally agree, but I think there's ways to make that benefit the average player rather than hurt them.
I think there's a lot to look forward to. There's a lot of development. I mean, little side promotion on our own side. We are developing a quite interesting tech that will be very relevant to this. Not able to say too much about it right now, but you can look out for major announcements in the next few weeks.
Ooh, very nice.
I will. All the advertisement aside. But yeah, it will be quite exciting. Our CTO was locked into his little chamber in Paris for the last 6 months and came out with a lot of really nice goodies.
Very cool.
But okay, don't want to bore the audience with our own promotions here. As you say, like it's a very early stage, isn't it? And I think there are a lot of problems that we might even not be aware of now. So there's a lot of iteration coming of this technology, I'm sure. But in terms of trends and directions, you already mentioned gaming, you mentioned chatbots. But would you see AI agents become more than just that? I mean, we see that trend in AI. Generative AI often is used synonymously with LLMs, large language models. But
yes,
they are so much more powerful. They can do so much more. And that's honestly, I jokingly mentioned my CTO and what he did, but when you closely seeing how AI develops and what's possible, like I did over the last few months, it can be actually scary sometimes, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Super fascinating and amazing and exciting, but it also sometimes is a little bit like where you think you're just arguing with a machine, and the machine seems to out-argue you, which is not good for the ego. But maybe a few words about trends and things that might come after this first wave of largely language model driven AI agents. But would you see a future where this goes into much product?
Yes.
You already mentioned in the gaming sector, right?
Oh yes, so I'll keep this one back to gaming just because it's the perfect example of what you were talking about just then. When I worked at the Bournless, those guys are still over there plugging away, making a great game. We had access to the NVIDIA startup program, and they would bring us in sort of every couple of months to show off their generative AI. Game studios are going to probably go away apart from the best IP, and game engines aren't necessary. They have models which are generating gameplay pretty well, up to like 20 minutes of playing. Obviously, there are problems, just like with the first generative images, just like with the first generative videos. There are artifacts, there are things that need to be ironed out, but this is like the first version of it. And it can already dream up a game world that you can run around in. Yeah. Yes, that's the scary part, is that this is version 1. Right. And Google have just released their own generative AI for gaming as well. So I think that's definitely the next sector that people are going to hit with AI. Obviously, we've had images, we've had moving video, we've had audio. So now the next sensible place is to be able to generate digital 3D worlds. So that's definitely where it's heading. Those guys have access to every single game that they provide startup funds to. They managed to get them to agree to hand over all of their game data for training the AI. So there won't be a game that these AIs can't make. So that's definitely a huge element. The other one I think that we are starting to see is the AI-backed DAOs. So Vader AI, he has a great Oracle AI agent, and it and a couple of other AI agents run a DAO together, which is wild. And they don't make very many trading errors. They're not trading on sentiment or emotion. They're trading on oracles. So, yeah, I think that's going to be a big sector that opens up. Take a look at Vader AI and Vader Research to figure out what's going on there.
Yeah, that's pretty exciting. It hits quite close to home because what we are doing is going in that direction partially. But again, I can't say too much here now, but you'll hear more about it over the next months. And it's really exciting how much you can do nowadays, like especially the topic of decentralization. I mentioned in the context of gaming earlier. I mean, these agents that don't have all the distractions the human has, they can focus on their main task. And if that is keeping a blockchain secure or running a DAO efficiently, they're probably eventually, again, it's infancy right now, but once they grow up a little, better at doing that than humans. And
the co-founder of my guild, TAGInk, he has a saying or a phrase that he keeps going on about at the moment, and it's AI politicians will be a thing, which I know isn't Web3, but you know what? Like,
I'm saying that I'm telling that people for years. I think I agree with that completely. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. Well, I'll definitely set up a call at some point for us to have a chat. But yeah, he's an AI bod, and so yeah, just from the way he's seen it going, he's pretty certain of it. And I think I might agree now. They are better, and they won't need to be bribed. They don't get emotional. They're not gonna bomb someone because they've been slighted. So it's an interesting ethical debate for sure.
And then beautiful agent from the other power doesn't have much influence on them either. Like, there's a lot of
right. Right. Yeah, no, very, very interesting. That goes outside of just Web3, but considering DAOs are governance, I think those are a good first test case. We will see quite quickly how successful or otherwise such things are.
Yeah. I mean, the alternative is Skynet. Well, that's not losing. Awesome. Yeah, but
Yes,
I actually,
for sure.
this is something I'm talking about for a while, and I completely agree. I think that will be a thing in the future. It might sound scary now, but I don't think I think I don't think it's negative, but I'm pretty along
No.
with that.
No,
So,
I agree, and obviously there are negatives. Like who made it, who built the AI. Like we would definitely need it to be open source, publicly accountable, etc., etc. But there is a world in which an AI just makes better decisions. However, will humans accept decisions from it? That's another matter.
yeah, agreed. That will be interesting to observe. I always think about, like,
Yes.
in the chess world, you had that happening in the 90s, right? Where people went through all the phases of acceptance and eventually acceptance now, and it's become a normal tool to use bots or machines, engines
Yes.
to gauge like new moves and new tactics. And why not? It doesn't mean that it replaces us completely for everything. It's just the focus shifts.
Right.
I don't know.
Right.
I don't know.
I agree. I can speak to that a little bit. So we're planning, you were mentioning about them being very basic to begin with at the start. Yes, all true. We're planning a radio DJ AI. And in the first instance, it will just play songs, put out news bulletins. It will be very simple. But once you start to train it on its own shows, it will know what to play next show, who to book, it will know better than you what songs resonated and did well during the live show because it has access to the live data of all of that. So, and the way, right, exactly, it will refine itself. And the way to make it humanized is you create these AI agents to prop up the best people. So for a radio show, you have lo-fi hip hop on all day, but you have guest shows for up and coming artists. So that way the AI is actually benefiting the industry and the people who need a spot to come on and play. And you can do that for that's just music as an example. You can do that with gaming. You can do it with any industry. As long as you frame it and align the AI correctly, it doesn't have to be a replacement. It can be a buffer, an extra place to go to.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you're basically saying it has to be open source, it has to be decentralized, there have to be some intrinsic checks and balances. It's basically, so basically there we have the connection between Web3, blockchain, and AI, because what you describe is basically Web3. That's all the ideals that in the industry, right? It's not always right there. We're aware of that, but
sure. Yes, and you could, and you could do this. Don't get me wrong. You could do AI open source, decentralized in a non-Web3 way. It just wouldn't make sense to when Web3 is right there ready for you. So the Ben Goertzel, the founder of AGIX, he very much early on realized that blockchain LLMs need to be on blockchains so that people can audit them. And I think he's right. But I think the closed I think it's a more expensive, complicated way of doing it, and the closed ones have gained commercial success by just sort of avoiding that issue. Like they don't have to worry about people wanting to audit the code and check the decisions and answers that are coming back so much. Whereas in Web3, it's essential. People wouldn't be comfortable with a closed source LLM as much.
Yeah, it's part of the ecosystem. It's part of the whole culture, and the part of it's also in ways going to the essence of why Web3 is there. If you would take that away, a lot of the point why it's needed would be gone. Right?
Agreed entirely.
Funny enough, we managed middle of last year to put a small scale, somewhat, I wouldn't call it a large language model that was powerful enough on a testnet of I think it was still a Sorbonne. It's doable, but the technical limitations of Web3 are still limiting what you can actually do. I don't think that will persist, though. I think in the future we will have improvements in technologies that will enable us to do these things eventually.
Oh, definitely. I agree. I think if you look at the Fetch ASI guys, they have the most advanced LLMs on chain that I've seen. I'm sure there's some crazy scientist doing something even wilder somewhere else, but they have like what I would consider full-on LLMs.
I know that scientist personally. No,
that's brilliant.
Yeah, it's like there is a lot possible, and I mean the other thing that you see, and it's coming from everything we talked about in a positive, all the decentralization, open source, and the intrinsic value that is generated out of blockchain. There is a lot of fragmentation as well because of it, because blockchains, the way they're structured, they naturally don't talk to each other. Yes, you have oracles. Yes, you have something like Chainlink or Layer 0, but it's still very much fragmented. And all this talking is relatively low bandwidth, and it's limited to information. It's not, and that's been what we've been working on at ChainsAtlas. And again, I don't say that to promote us. This is not the place for that. This is supposed to be an open discussion, but it's hitting very close to home, because that's what we've been working on for the last 2-3 years, building our tech to really break those barriers. Because eventually you have all these computing resources, you'll have all these blockchains, but you limit yourself to one in most cases. And maybe if you go multi-chain, you just have the same thing on another chain again. So you're basically still limited, just there's another chain somewhere else.
Yeah, so some of that is being solved a little bit, but it's still feudal. And what I mean by that is like Optimism, Arbitrum1, Scale. You have these Avalanche. You have these ecosystems where the blockchains built from that tech are going to be able to talk to each other, but still not to the ones built outside of that tech. So yeah, we're getting right. We're getting closer to interoperability, but
you have these ecosystems that then are again separated from each other. And the more you get, the more you have. Right? You have Optimism-based chains, Cosmos-based chains. You have Polkadot-based chains. But
yes.
But the whole idea is that you can create something new, and that you're separate from everyone else, and you can create your own value, and you have ownership. All the ideals of Web3, which make a lot of sense. I mean, we talked about it, but they get a little bit.
Yeah, no, agreed.
Yeah, really building an environment that's really powerful. Right?
No, totally. I definitely see that, and I think stuff like Hyperliquid has been a very interesting, I think, eye-opening experience for most people. Just simply the way the demand for cross-chain and access everywhere. I'm very surprised there's no wallet that has sort of created a side chain for itself where it resolves every chain and uses its own internal wallet token for the gas to do that. I'm very surprised no one's done that. That would instantly become the number one wallet app. Obviously, Trust Wallet has Trust Token, but you still need ETH to trade ETH. Yeah. You still need et cetera, et cetera. I think there's... watch this space. Nice. Yeah. Well, if you're doing that, that's dope.
This is not prepared. Just as a disclaimer out here, we didn't discuss this, but this is going directly in the direction which ChainsAtlas is taking. I mean, that was the case already before the AI element, so I can actually freely talk about it. There's a white paper out there and everything. But AI,
nice.
We found, will enable that future a lot easier, or probably make it possible, to be frank. We always had a small AI element in what we plan to do. But it will enable that future a lot easier for sure than it would be without, because the complexity of different environments and how you move liquidity and all this still is prevalent. And you mentioned the separate chain that does all that, but you still, if you execute actual logic on that chain, you're still limited. You still have that bottleneck of that chain, right?
Yes. Yeah.
This is exactly what we look to solve at ChainsAtlas. So that's
right. No, that's really cool. No, you didn't tell me to say that.
Well, you can confirm. I really didn't. And
no, definitely not. No, that's funny. That's amusing. Everything we've touched on today leads back to it. But that kind of just shows you how all-encompassing and poignant this stuff is at the moment. In that, like, that is where people's thoughts are. That's what they're like. Why haven't we done this thing that now? Yeah. And the reason is we didn't have AI to enable it. Like, it seems so obvious now, but like you say, AI is actually the thing that probably makes it possible. So, very interesting times with a lot of that stuff for sure.
I mean, to be frank, I think these are exciting times for the one reason that finally technology came about where the whole space of Web3, blockchain, I believe, has the next leap forward, which enables a lot of things that weren't possible before. So we had blockchain itself, Bitcoin, which was revolutionary at its time, but it's still very basic if you look at it from this perspective nowadays.
Yeah, it's what, 13-year-old cryptography now. So yeah,
correct. And the concept is relatively basic on purpose. It was supposed to be that way, to be sound and stable. Then Ethereum came around. That was definitely a leap forward and added a completely revolutionary tech at the time. But since but that's my personal opinion. Obviously, every chain tells you they're completely revolutionary and everything's new about them. But I believe that all tech since, and that doesn't make it, that's not like judging them in terms of quality or anything, but it's an evolutionary process since. We built on existing tech, we made it slightly better, but there wasn't really a complete revolution. There was not something that's enabled something that wasn't there before.
Right. Like smart contracts for ETH were huge, and then what since then has been as revolutionary. And I mostly agree that nothing. There's been some interesting proof of work tests done by people like Cadena and other blockchains. I think one of the big mistakes, this isn't to criticize Ethereum, but I think they open themselves up for a lot of criticism when they move to proof of stake. I think generally speaking, that model, like it doesn't wash. Eventually, it just doesn't wash. It doesn't make sense. Put money in box worth more sort of thing. It's very FTX, SBF thinking. And
yeah, sorry for interrupting you. Go ahead.
No, that's fine. I was trailing off a little bit.
What I wanted to say, what I find fascinating about proof of stake, it's kind of this self-fulfilling prophecy kind of thing where you create something of value and then use that thing and use its value to secure
more value.
What actually generated its value. So it's kind of a perpetuum mobile, which we all learned in school is not something that works. But
that's where I get a little bit funky about it. Proof of work makes sense fundamentally. You provide a service, you get paid for the service. Proof of stake, I don't know if I value another human being's stake. So I'm unsure as to that. Like, maybe I do. I need to do a lot more thinking on that. But the concept of like you get money for having money is going to be that's going to be the normie approach to attack the proof of stake. Like, oh, you just get rich for being rich, and I feel like that's a very hard narrative to beat away. That's a slightly different topic than the one we had here, but it does relate a little bit to AI agents, because in a world with lots of AI agents, there needs to be a lot of work and not stake. Right.
I was about to mention that. I was about to ask you, the advent of AI, isn't that something which might really bring proof of work back? Because finally that work is not just about energy and has that bad connotation of being bad for the environment, whatever, but it is actually used for something useful. It would power actual intelligence that helps me manage my network, whatever the AI does, right? So
definitely. I totally agree. And I think we will see a proof of work AI-based blockchain come about. It might use nodes. It might use some kind of... There was a company called Helium that sent everybody a box to do their mining with. Yeah, I don't think it went well, but the concept is solid.
I think it got bought out or something. There was something, or they moved to another chain, I believe, and then things went downhill. I lost track of it, to be honest.
Yeah, but the concept, but conceptually it works. You buy the box, you get sent the box, you turn it on, you power the AI. I think that is going to be needed if everything is going to be powered by AI. The amount of comp needed is rather insane.
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely one of the points that we also need to look at, that AI as it is right now, and models get better and better. And again, we've seen that in our development as well. You need a lot less computing power than you used to, but it's still a lot. Not to run the AI, but for initial training. Right? So this is something.
Right. And if you're like training it on video games, the amount of computation NVIDIA haven't got a problem with that. They've got the computation, they built it, but that will be an entire data center just churning through learning games. Wild.
Yeah, but I believe we will definitely see improvements there. It will not go away. So the whole argument, or the whole thing about proof of work being very relevant for this, I think that obviously will be there forever. But there are a lot of improvements in terms of computing power necessary to train good models. That concept of pre-training models and then really specializing them in different fields, things like that. So there's a lot of
But then if you want self-improving models, who foots the bill for the... There's some definite complexities to work out around stuff like that.
For sure.
And this is why I say the proof of, like, if you want to be training lots of models yourself, the proof of work model, I think, can offset some costs. But agreed that, we are managing to now get it to a point where it's pretty efficient, and it's going to get a lot better still. So you're right that, like, computing costs might not be the main concern yet, but then get it to a place where everybody has an LLM assistant that's tailored, customized to be perfect for them. Then I think we start running into those computational issues again.
Yeah, definitely. And you want more and more, right? So you also need more computing power. If you're more efficient, I think it will eventually be offset by creating more complex things. And we saw that in traditional computation. Right? Like you could do a lot in 1980 on much less computing power. And nowadays, things are not as efficient on purpose because they're more flexible, right? So a game nowadays uses a lot more resources compared to something similar back in the days. Obviously, it's also much better nowadays, but it's exponentially been growing ever since in terms of computing power.
Right.
I would the same thing built now would probably use 3-4 times as much computing power, just because you have all these frameworks in between that make using computers and building for computers more complex, more easy. Make it much quicker to develop something. Right? If you build a web application where you have some data center somewhere that runs your back end, and then you have various layers on top of it, and you have a browser which actually is like the I don't know how many layers below in terms of interpretation of logic until you actually run your software. And I think we might see the same here. So definitely that topic won't go away. I agree.
No, that's a very fair point. Right now, a lot of it is manual. Like, there are services, you can automate some of this stuff, but if you want to do custom, a lot of it is manual right now. And we will see more and more services cropping up to provide those in an automated way. And then at that point, we're at .com levels where, everything is 3, 4, 5 layers deep. So definitely heading that direction, I think so.
Exciting times. We are running out of time, slowly but surely. Actually, I think we're already over time. Oh no, we have 1 minute left, technically.
Nice.
But super exciting. Could talk about that for another hour, to be honest, but unfortunately I have to
easily.
Yes.
Oh, damn.
Maybe we do it again. I mean, you can come back in a few months. Then I can also. At that time, we released a lot of stuff we're working on, so there's a lot of new stuff we can talk about, and I'm sure a lot more happen. And I happen to know that you also think about certain projects in this field. So
yes, I am working on a couple of things. Working on a platform similar to Virtuals and Waifu. That's going to take a little bit longer, and we'll talk more about that in the future. I'm working on a radio DJ AI that will play lo-fi hip-hop beats, web-free gaming news, web-free news, and sort of summaries of the top KOL and influencer tweets every hour. That will be ready sometime at the end of January. So would love to come back and talk about what you guys are working on as well. And a few months in AI is a long time. So yes, would love to come back and discuss. Yes, look back at the things we said here, and some of them may already have happened.
Exactly. It's really exciting times right now. Thanks for everybody. Again, I know it's very close to the holidays, so thanks for making the time today. And you'll have this on YouTube We're still figuring out a few details. That's why the first episode also isn't online yet, but it will be soon. And you will find this one as well. I think it's very valuable. Luke, I hope you have a wonderful Christmas and New Year. Will you stay in Cambodia or are you traveling?
I will stay in Cambodia. I've got some friends flying over from America, so we'll have a great Christmas dinner and New Year. And hopefully you guys have a great Christmas as well. You said you've got to catch a flight. Are you traveling home?
I have 1-2 stops in between, but I'll be home. I'll be home for Christmas.
Very nice.
but only a little bit. And also, I have this little issue that I need a new passport because my existing one is completely full.
Every page.
Yeah. Coming until you have it. It's one of those,
I've
somebody told me, I can let you board because you don't have a page yet.
That's hilarious. I had to do that. I had to get a new passport flown over from England just because my visa pages were full. It's crazy.
For me, it's not
great.
I think it's only like 3 visa. The rest is stamps. And some of the stamps were huge. And thankfully, I'm glad Malaysia now let us go through e-channel because their stamp was one of the biggest in Asia. But I feel complaining on a very high level, so I guess
yes.
I guess we'll be all right.
Yes, these are definitely good problems to have.
Yes, agreed. Okay, thanks again for everyone, and see you soon. I think it is on the 6th is the next episode. Sumtai here in the chat will know better. You can ask her for sure.
Make sure to drop me the link to that, and I'll come and listen along.
Will do for sure. We also promoted on our channel. I saw you join, so thanks for that. See you then. At that, we will probably introduce our new COO, Sharik, who happens to be also here and listening in. And again, if you have any questions, just put it on our channel, and we are happy to give you more information. And the then following is on the 22nd from Chiang Mai, where we have a side event at Block Mountain. So if you happen to go there, again, let us know. Happy to catch up. Thanks a lot, and a wonderful Christmas and Happy New Year.
Happy Christmas, everyone. Have a great one.
Bye-bye.